News next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. They just didn't see it coming. This was sort of the collective opinion on the propaganda desk at CNN, MSNBC, on social media. Young Turks, Cenk Uyghur, and the Young Turks almost brought to tears. They were told that Kamala was going to win Iowa. What happened? Yeah, maybe you should have listened to what people were saying. And by the way, this was manifest in a lot of the polling. Here was one Biden voter in Arizona who explained to an exit pollster why he voted for Trump this go around.
Just seeing what's been happening in the past 4 years, I voted Democrat the past 4 years, and I'm really disappointed in the administration, how everything has been going. I was in the mortgage industry for quite some time, and that hurt us pretty bad. I lost my job because of it. Dealing with the recession and everything. And I know that everyone's saying we're looking for solutions from every party, right? But in actuality, the solutions they came up with were no solutions. It hurt us even more. Now you have to have a son with parents and, daughter. All the families get together to be able to even afford a home or even afford a rent.
So the economy is the number one issue for you?
Absolutely. It impacts every one of us.
Did you vote for Biden in 2020?
I did. I'm sorry. I did. Yeah, I did. I was deceived, but I'm a walking example of how people can change their mind.
Apology accepted. That people can change their mind when they feel the impact of their policies. That happens in most places, not so much in Chicago, but in most places where you have civilized people that have firing synapses, that does happen. People are practical. And we had this conversation with Steve Moore when we were interviewing him over the weekend at the Freedom Summit, which is like, just look at the underlying numbers on these various voter cohorts and just follow the logic. Combine that with the early voting data and combine that with the singular number that illustrates exactly what that gentleman was saying, that 3/4 to 4/5 of the electorate think the country's on the wrong track. Unrecoverable. That's what I said on Saturday. Unrecoverable. It has never happened, and it's not going to happen because people are like that guy, ultimately practical and understandably take action in furtherance of their interests of surviving and thriving. And that's exactly what happened last night. For more on this, pleased to be joined by the aforesaid Steve Moore, economist, author, along with Art Laffer, of The Trump Economic Miracle and the Plan to Unleash Prosperity Again. Steve Moore, you better get to work.
Oh, my God. Hey, guys, I had a blast with you guys last Saturday, and I wanted to salute all the people who came to that Freedom Summit that we had in Itasca. That was an amazing, amazing day, and that gave me hope just talking to all these, Americans from all walks of life, and I was impressed how many blacks and Hispanics and young people were there, and it gave me hope that we were going to win this election. And of course, this was a red wave. That's what hasn't really been reported. Up and down the ticket, and we're only getting some of the lower level races reported now, but it looks like Republicans flipped another 4 to 5, state houses, which is a lot since they already control 27 of them. Mm-hmm. The Republicans won dog catcher races. They won city council races, school board races, because what happens, and I kind of predicted this, Dan, is that when Trump is on the ticket, people come in who don't normally vote. These are what we call casual voters, and they come in to vote for Trump, and then they just vote straight down the ticket Republican. Look, I think this is an awesome opportunity for the country to turn things around. I've said for 2 years now on your show that if Trump wins, it will be because of the 3 I's, and those 3 I's were illegal immigration, inflation, and the loss of income to Americans, and I think that's exactly what happened.
Do you see Kamala Harris giving a concession speech today, and after she's done licking her wounds?
Yeah, I do. I mean, and look, Kamala was a bad candidate. I mean, let's face it. Out of 100 United States senators, she was the most liberal, and she actually ran a pretty good race. She just was dealt a terrible hand. I mean, who wants to run on the Biden? This was an important election for many, many reasons. But it's a repudiation of what Joe Biden has done to our country. The voters said, no, we've had enough of this. We don't want more. And remember, by the way, Amy, it was 4 years ago, almost to this day, that Joe Biden said, I am going to unify the country. Remember that? I'm going to be a uniter. Dan and Amy, can you mention one thing that Joe Biden did in 4 years that united the country?
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, Kamala was dealt a bad hand. She dealt it to herself,
that's true.
and she did so with that joy vibe. And then she went out there and played the shameless identitarian ad hominem game, and she got caught because people have been hurt. Their quality of life has deteriorated under this administration. And now you're going to tell me that it's all because of the patriarchy, or it's because it's of white supremacists, and it's all nonsense. It runs afoul of the lives that people live. But of course, right. Kamala and the panels on CNN and MSNBC don't take those views much into consideration, and they got caught.
You better believe it. And the fact is that there is a lot of look. The Democratic Party needs a do-over. I mean, this is so far from the party of even sort of Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton, was a pretty centrist Democrat. He wasn't a crazy Democrat. And all in all, he's a pretty good president. We balanced the budget. We did a capital gains cut. He was open to working with Republicans. The Democratic Party now stands for letting men play in women's sports, and taxing unrealized capital gains, and letting any immigrant. By the way, it shows how ideological they are. How hard would it have been, Dan and Amy, for them to just secure the border? I mean, that's not that hard to do. Trump did it. They wanted all these. It's not that they couldn't do it. They wanted these 10, 12, 15 million illegal immigrants in the country. They are so driven by an ideology, they couldn't even do the most basic things. And by the way, as you know, I'm very pro-immigrant. I think immigrants are great for our country. But you can't have 12 to 15 million illegals in the country. We don't know if they're criminals or terrorists. I mean, I know we've talked about this many times, but they never fixed it.
Well,
they never did.
It also speaks to how driven Trump and Republicans need to be, because they're willing to suffer losses in furtherance of their ideology, figuring they move it as far as they can in this direction, even if they have to take a step back after taking 4 steps forward. Next go around, they'll take another 4 steps forward. So there really has to be some discipline and focus here. And since you and Laffer and Kudlow are on the sort of economic dream team there, give us your vision for the transition, and then say the first 100 days when it comes to economic policy.
Well, the cool thing about this is he is going to hit the ground renting. I mean, this is going to be, we're just going to explode out of the gates with a kind of pro-America, put America first agenda. So that's going to include right out of the gate. Do you remember, by the way, Dan and Amy, the first act by Joe Biden?
To undo Trump's executive orders on the border.
Well, okay. You know what the second thing he did was? You're right. That was the first thing. The second thing was, remember the Keystone Pipeline?
Yeah, right.
He shut off. The construction.
How stupid was that? I mean, why would you kill an infrastructure project for a vital part of our? That's the other thing. This was a huge, 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 huge loss for the radical green movement. And boy, did they need a spanking, and they got it, because Trump will use all our energy. We're going to go for our oil, our gas, our coal, our nuclear power. We're going to start mining. We have $10 trillion of mining. Why is it that the country that has more minerals of any country in the world has to import minerals?
Right. Well, liquid gold, he called it yesterday. So how soon until inflation drops and we see any relief at the grocery store, Stephen Moore? Do tell. Because we've been spending money we're never going to get back.
Yeah, I think we're going to start to see a stabilization of prices. We're going to get back to that, 1.5% to 2% inflation, which is kind of right where we want it. We're not going to see 9% inflation. I think the big thing that really excites me, and I said this at that wonderful, but I just had so much fun on Saturday. Thank you so much for inviting me. I met so many wonderful people. But the whole idea of that Elon Musk commission, I just think is fantastic. And I said it at your event. I'll say it again on the air. I think we could cut $1 trillion. That's one followed by 12 zeros of spending in Washington. We could drain that swamp. And people in Chicago, people in Indiana, people in Wisconsin wouldn't even know that the spending was gone because it's completely irrelevant to their lives.
Well, the other thing, too, to that point that is encouraging from what we're seeing here with a few Senate races still out, is that the Jeff Flakes and the John McCains and the Mitt Romneys have been replaced by the Bernie Morenos and the Dave McCormicks, so it's a hopeful note that you have a bunch of new Republican legislators in both chambers that are pretty much aligned with exactly what you're talking about.
Well, I think the cool thing, we don't have all the the demographics in yet, but I'm told that Trump came very close to winning half of the Hispanic vote, somewhere between 45 and 50%. Wow. That's incredible. I mean, it used to be that the Republicans would win 20 to 25% of and even George W. Bush, who did well with Hispanics, he got, I think, a high of 39%. I mean, Trump got close to, we don't know the exact number, around 45%, which is gigantic. He did better with black males. I mean, minorities really went to Trump in a big, big way. So it's so damn exciting. I mean, we're gonna hit that ground running. And look, Trump has been both. He's been through it before. It's going to be just from day one, kind of fix. I love the whole final theme of Trump will fix it, because I think he will. And I know, Dan, you don't like the terrorists. I'm not a big fan of the terrorists, but we'll see. I mean, I hope that he uses, if he does do terrorists, let's lower the income tax in exchange for a higher tariff. What do you think about that?
I like that. And also let's rescind whatever is unspent from the backdoor Green New Deal, and let's get to work on shrinking the size of the federal government post-haste.
Yeah, and the other thing Trump is so committed to, and if any city in America needs this, it's Chicago, school choice. They say, he's going to shut down the Department of Education. No, he's not going to shut it down. You know what we're going to do? We're going to give that money to the parents, not the teachers' unions and not the education blob, and let parents in Chicago and Milwaukee and Los Angeles and San Francisco and, low-income areas, let the parents choose the school, not the schools choose what parents they have. And kids. And that could be a transformation, especially for lower-income minority kids. He's committed to doing all these things. I got to tell you, we're going to downsize government. We're going to right-size it. And I can't tell you we're going to balance the budget because we're so far away from that right now, but we're going to bring it down.
If he turns the Department of Education into a grant-making organization for school choice, that would be huge, transformative. That would be awesome. Steve Moore, Economist, The Trump Economic Miracle is the book, co-authored with Art Laffer. Steve, thank you as always.
Okay. Guys, have a great day. This is like the best day of my life. I'm just.
It's a glorious day. A lot of people are texting in. Yes. Thank you, Stephen Moore. Have a wonderful day. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of